From the Kia Hyundai channel, welcome to our live video series. Today is a good one. This is going to be a video of the Hyundai Elantra Hybrid. And I kind of thought, it's just another video. But the more time I spend with this car, the more time I realize that this is a really, really good car. So we're gonna go through some nerdy stuff that I like to show just to help you understand the car. We're also gonna go over the really practical stuff and all kinds of things that are of interest. We're gonna go in depth on these videos. That's what we do here every single weekday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. If you came in just to see the details of this car, we do film these live. So if you're not live with us and you just wanna see the details, you can skip ahead to that 3-minute mark if you want. In the meantime, we've got lots of news and notes to share, and I'm gonna show you how to join us live if you wanna stick around to do that. So let me show you how to join us live, and we'll keep going. Here is our YouTube channel. If you go there exactly at 2 o'clock on a weekday, and you refresh the page, you're gonna see right here, our regular video right there is replaced, and you have our live video sitting right there. Somebody just said, hello from Mississauga. I grew up in Mississauga, so that's cool. All right, we're gonna click in there, and you're gonna have to watch a little ad. While you're watching an ad, Lindt chocolate. Now they're starting to hit me with stuff I actually appreciate. While we're all skipping the ad, I'm gonna run a quick little ad for the 3 dealers that support us: Brantford Kia, Brantford Hyundai, and Owen Sound Hyundai. Those are the 3 dealers that support us, and if you're looking to buy a car in Ontario, there'll be a link in the description of this video after I'm done, and you can reach out to us, and I will connect you with the team, and they'll take care of you the way they would take care of my mother. Sometimes my mother needs some taken care of. She doesn't watch my videos. I'm totally fine in saying that. Nobody's gonna send this to her. All right, so news and notes. Kia World right now. We are now taking orders for the Kia Sportage. As of this morning, I did a video. There was 15 of them that we knew were coming, some of them as soon as April, and they're unsold. We don't have a price on them, but we know roughly the range of pricing. So if you wanna reserve a Kia Sportage and actually get it fairly soon compared to a lot of cars right now, you can do that. There's unsold vehicles that are shipping to us right now. And what you do is you put a $500 deposit, you speak to our sales team, and they'll tell you what's the inch trim line, and you can reserve it, and you can go home with the vehicle as early as April. So that's pretty cool because the Sportage is going to be a really good class-leading vehicle. The only video I have of the actual car is at the LA Auto Show. It's the American model, but there is at least some content. As soon as we get the actual vehicles, which is when these 15 show up, then I'll be able to get you proper video on that. So that's kind of the big news in the Kia world. Hyundai world, the big thing, and this isn't a high volume vehicle, I'm still waiting for the Kona N. You guys have talked about that a lot. I want to drive it, and it will be coming in the next, hopefully this month or so. Kia EV6 also happening this month. That's what I know. Do me a favor, guys. If you are a regular with us, hit the like button for me. We got about 38 of you on. Let's see if we can just jump that really high right now, and then we'll keep going through. So somebody's still waiting for their Hyundai competition to the Sportage. Oh, yeah. Still waiting for the Tucson. Yeah, well, the Tucson's coming. All right, let's go right into the video right now. So yesterday we took a look at the Hyundai Elantra N-Line, which is the 1.6 liter turbo engine. This one is a Hyundai Elantra Hybrid, which is a 1.6 liter hybrid edition. Yesterday I drove the exact same trip in the N-Line and got 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers. On the exact same trip today, 3.7 liters per 100 kilometers. Now this car is rated for 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 4.2 on the highway, which is fantastic. But as you can see with a hybrid, the little bit of difference you make in driving sometimes can eke out a lot of efficiency. And I drove through town to get here, and that's a significant fuel saving. So again, keep in mind the ratings, not necessarily what I got, but the point is you can really save fuel in this, and it becomes a car that really makes sense for a lot of people, especially since auto manufacturers have started to figure out how to market efficient vehicles to the general public. And I've been harping on this for a while. They used to say that only greenies and those kind of people would want a hybrid. And the reality is nobody likes paying more for gas than they have to. There's a lot of people that are just regular car drivers that just want a regular car to drive, and that's what this is, and it's going to save you a ton of fuel. In some cases, as much as half the fuel of other vehicles, and even like a third the fuel of some other larger vehicles. So really something worth considering. And when I say they started to figure this out, you can tell right here by the key fob. They put a remote start on here. You never used to be able to get remote starts on hybrids because, greeny people, they don't want to run their engine. Well, the reality is we still like to get into a warm car, and I'd rather idle an efficient car than a less efficient car. So again, I'm not a huge fan of remote starts, but you know what? I use mine as well. And so you can use that here on this car, which is kind of nice to have. It's a keyless key fob, so I'm going to keep that in my pocket. I never have to pull it out again. The other thing that you have is, well, I'll mention it later, but there is a spare tire in this car. So they used to have no spare tires, and the theory, this is what they told us at the dealerships, no spare tires in these cars because we care about fuel efficiency and that saves weight. The reality is, a lot of us want spare tires, including the typical Elantra buyer, so you still have a spare tire. It doesn't save that much weight. What it does is it saves the company money. So there we go. All right, let's keep rolling through here. What I want to show you, first of all, is just sort of the specs on this, just for a split second. I know that sounds uninteresting, but that's kind of what I do. I do uninteresting things, and some of you watch, and I'm sorry for that. All right, so let's talk about the engine. It is a 1.6 liter. It's a non-turbo, and you can see that it is the Atkinson cycle. What that means, for lack of lengthy, nerdy description, it's an efficiency cycle. They use it on a lot of hybrids. They use it even on the Palisade and the Telluride. And the knock against an Atkinson cycle engine is that it can sacrifice some torque. So if you look at the Palisade and the Telluride, they actually have a little bit less torque for the size of the motor than you'd have. And they make up for that in gearing, because torque can be multiplied through gearing. Think about it as a bicycle. Even if you're not super strong, if you put it in low enough gear, you can climb up just about any hill. And that's what they do with a lot of cars. Now, on a hybrid, it makes a lot of sense because electric motors have a lot of torque, that pushing power. So you can see 1.6 liter engine. Now stay with me. If you're about to tune out, stay with me for the next 30 seconds. Because there's your horsepower and torque ratings, but those aren't the actual horsepower and torque ratings. This is your gasoline motor. It's only going to make 104 horsepower, 109 foot-pounds of torque. That's just the gasoline alone. Then you talk about some other stuff here. It talks about hybrids down here. Add some horsepower there, add some foot-pounds there. What you actually end up with is a car that makes 139 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds of torque. Now, I'll be blunt. 139 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have any type of electrified vehicle, horsepower is probably going to matter a little bit less to you unless you are a flat-out sports car person, because torque is the power you feel. And when you're driving an Elantra around town, out on the highway, getting on and off ramps, those kind of things, what you feel is the torque more than the horsepower. 139 is plenty of the horsepower to get this car moving, but it's the torque at 195. And if you look at 195 foot-pounds of torque, remember yesterday we had essentially a performance version of this car? It had 195 foot-pounds of torque as well. So a little bit less horsepower, but the same torque. And of course, with electric motors, you feel that. And the reality is this car is just plenty fine to drive around town for an Elantra. And it's the Elantra I would recommend if you drive like the typical Elantra buyer, not the Elantra N, which is the pure performance one, not the N line, which is, again, a sporty performance, just a regular Elantra. The hybrid's the one to get. Now, the only catch with this car is, it tells you right on the website, limited inventory. Now, I think that's funny because limited inventory, every car we sell right now is pretty much limited inventory. But at $25,000 MSRP, this is a pretty good value small car, and you're going to get great fuel mileage. So let's talk about that. Somebody says 139 is so low, though. My Kia Soul EV has 139 horsepower. It also has 291 foot-pounds of torque, and it crushes BMWs off the line. So torque matters when you're driving in town. You don't ever use, most people don't use full horsepower. If you look at horsepower ratings on a car, it's in the upper revs. So unless you're flooring it, you're not using that horsepower anyways. So this car with 139 horsepower, it's only about, 8 less horsepower than the regular Elantra, and it's got way more torque. This car is peppy. It feels pretty good. And again, it's not a sports car, but it's got all the power you need. So again, anything with a hybrid or electrified powertrain in some way, horsepower numbers mean a lot less. We always are trained to think horsepower means feeling, and it's different with anything electrified. All right, let's jump in and talk about some of the features you get in here. Now, bear with me. This car was pretty dirty when I got it, so I haven't cleaned it well enough. You can see somebody had dirty, muddy hands from the compound probably on there. So I do apologize for some of the dirt in here. But overall, you have a pretty nice interior here. You've got power windows, locks, mirrors like you would expect. You jump in here. Yesterday, the Elantra N line had a little drive mode button over here. We don't have that over here. We have it, in my opinion, where it should be, right next to the gear shift. You still have the drive modes there. But let's turn the car to on for a second here. So we're gonna just turn it to the on position without starting it, because again, it still has a gasoline motor. It can create some emissions in our closed garage here. But there you go. Today I drove, it was 3.7 liters. I took it in to wash it and had it on for a little bit. 4.1 liters per 100 kilometers in my driving today, including some heavy dealership type idling and that kind of thing. Overall, the gauges, I like them. Yesterday had a little bit more red accent in the N line. I do prefer the look of that, although this is very legible. The font is maybe a hair smaller than some of the other cards that they have. That's one thing you're going to notice getting in here. And you lose that tachometer, of course, and what you get instead is right over here, these sort of charge, eco, and power. So what happens is when the car is running, this little needle goes up to between charge and eco. When you're driving, it's going to generally stay in the eco mode unless you're really flooring it, it goes in the power. And then when you're coasting or braking, it's going to sit here in the charge area. And basically, this is an electrified car that works with gasoline and electricity, and you never have to plug it in to charge it. It just charges on its own, and it assists you with the electric motor where you can. And you can see, a lot of people used to say hybrids only benefit you in the city, 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers in the city. It gets 4.2 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway. So hybrids are good whether it's in the city or on the highway. It just makes a lot of sense. If you're driving around right now and your Elantra says 8 point something, if your Elantra says 8 point something, which is common for an older Elantra to see, and this one's going to get 4 point something, every $100 you spend in fuel could turn into $50 in fuel if that's the way you're going to average. And it can vary a little bit, and there's all these things, but you're going to save fuel in something like this, and you really don't make a lot of sacrifices. And when I say you don't make sacrifices, yesterday we saw this screen here in the N line, and it's a great little screen. You have satellite radio, you have AM, FM stereo. This one doesn't have the Bose audio, but you can move up to the limited, get a 10.25 inch screen with navigation. This is just the 8 inch screen. You don't have navigation here, but you do have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. And someone made a good point yesterday to say, I need to demonstrate this sometime. So we'll do that, but I won't do it on a live video just because I have personal information on my phone that if it shows up on the Android Auto Apple CarPlay, I want to make sure I can edit it out of this situation there and not have it public, but we will do that in the future. But wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay means you have Google Maps, Apple Maps, Waze, excuse me, those kind of things up there, as well as everything else. And what I like is if you set up this button here, this is the little star button, can do anything you want essentially, or many different things. If you set that up to bring up Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, it's just kind of like having a radio button, a media button, and a navigation button, because that will pull up your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and your maps if you want to use just those systems. In this computer screen here, I want to show you a couple things that are interesting to me. So again, fuel efficiency we've seen, we'll cycle through some of those. We've got your speedometer there if you want, which we saw yesterday. And then down here we have the drive modes, which we'll talk about in a second. And then you have the energy flow. As you're running this car, you're going to see power going to the battery, power going from the battery to the wheels. It's just nice little description of how a hybrid system works. So you can glance down and see exactly what's going on. When your gauge over here is in the charge section here, it'll show you an arrow from the wheels to the battery. And when you're driving, it'll go from the batteries to the wheels, and it can show you with charging, engine, and everything else. That's an engine out front right there. So it just gives you arrows to show you what's powering what, and it kind of teaches you how a hybrid works in a very simple way, in a visual way. The other thing they have in these hybrid cars is the temperature gauge, and that is an interesting thing to have because when you drive this car in the winter, all right. Sorry about that, guys. We're back. I just noticed that we're having some internet issues, so I'm trying to preempt that happened yesterday and just bring you back here to, I've got you on my cell network now. Anyways, as you're going through, the reason the temperature gauge is important is because when this car is cold, the engine will run to warm it up. And that makes sense because if you're going to floor it at any point, the engine needs to be ready to go and that kind of thing because it can use a battery and gasoline motor. Once the car is warmed up, even in the winter, you can run it for long stretches on pure EV, just 100 meters here, a couple hundred meters there, at a high speeds. And to be fair, I didn't look up the high speeds, but I was driving today 60, 70 kilometers an hour. It was running on pure EV. And hybrids today run a lot of EV, even though they never have to be plugged in. So this is telling me, hey, you're discharging the battery. You might want to start the car, and I will do that at some point. All right, so let's take a look at here. I got Android Auto, Android Auto Apple CarPlay, which is wireless. We've got the satellite radio. If we go into the stereo, you also have the HD stereo, which if we have to go to FM to do that, so let's go to FM. Oh, let's turn that down for a second. We are inside a radio insulated building here. You can turn on the HD radio, which can give you the HD radio signals as well, so you get that nice clear area. And this screen is tilted just 10 degrees towards the driver, so you can still see it easily from the passenger, but it does sort of be a little bit more driver-centric. Down here is your climate system. It is still a dual-zone system, so we talked about that yesterday, why that's such a good thing. You don't often see dual-zone climate systems in this price of car, and here you are getting it in a hybrid car. And one thing they used to do is they used to do a driver-only mode, so you don't have that anymore on this system, but what you do have is the ability to just turn down the system to gently blow fan speed to reach your temperature. And like I said, if the passenger wants to be warmer or colder, they can do that as well, and you can sync them back up like that. So same idea down here as yesterday, rump roaster, so heated seats on the cloth seats there. and you can turn them on or off, driver and passenger seat there, and you also have a steering wheel heater. That is a really nice function to have, especially with any vehicle with a touchscreen. You want to take your gloves off because the steering wheel is so much warmer than your gloves, and you have that right there. Come down here, USB port down here, 2 USB ports and a 12-volt port, excuse me. There is no wireless charging in this particular car. You can get that if you move up to the limited or luxury version of this car, which is, again, still can be a hybrid. Down here, we talked about drive modes. I said the drive mode button is where it should be, so let's just turn the drive mode buttons on. 3 drive modes, normal, sport, and smart, which is, again, the exact same. Let me just flip through there. Normal, sport, and smart, which is, again, the exact same as you had in the other regular Elantra. So from a driver's perspective, if you don't pay attention to the tach, there's literally no difference in driving this car, other than when you start the car, and I can do that really quickly here for a second. Let's turn the climate off. Starting the car, right there, you can see this symbol which says ready to drive. The engine did not start, even though it's cold. I've got the climate off, and it will start in a second, but the engine did not start, and the only difference is that EV light up there tells me I'm running on pure EV power. When that light turns off, that means we're running on electric or on gasoline motor as well, or a combination of power. Means, and that's really the only difference. It's you're ready to go. So I'm gonna turn the car off again just for a second here. We're gonna come down to, let's go back to the on position. So we're just gonna turn it on position, but not running. And then of course you have your gear shift here. You can bring up your backup camera, which is right there. Clear guidelines there. You can see left side, right side, the lines go with you. And it's a very wide angle camera. It feels to me like the Elantra has a little bit wider camera than some of the other cars in its class, and that just helps you see a little bit extra out there. And you can hear, maybe you can't hear, bong, bong, bong. There's a beeping sound. That's going to be a meme somewhere. But yeah, there is a beeping sound, and that's because it is an electrified car. It doesn't always make noise when it's in reverse, so it will have a noise that sort of beeps a little bit. It is not exceptionally loud. I have heard complaints, especially from Americans, that their vehicles seem to be exceptionally loud when it backs up. This one's not exceptionally loud. It's noticeable, but it's not very loud. So I think it is different in the States than Canada. All right, flipping around here, I'm going to put the gear shift back into, actually, let's put in drive for a second here. You can still manually shift the gears here, just like you could on the other car. This one has 6 speeds, whereas yesterday's car had 7 speeds. So you can choose your own gears if you want to. And again, it feels and acts just like a regular car. Down here, electronic parking brake with the auto hold function. Cup holders are pretty cool in this. They're very deep here, like very deep. But you've got this little system which pops out, and you can switch it, which means you spin it around there, put it back in, and now you've got 2 raised cup holders. So if you want higher cup holders there, or if you want to hide the engagement ring or something like that for Valentine's Day underneath the cup holder, there you go, guys. I've just given you an idea. You can thank me later. You can put that underneath there, and you can pull it out. She'll have no idea. Anyways, and women, if you're looking for that engagement ring, it's underneath there. I don't know if I should say men or women anymore. I guess things have changed now, but I don't know how things work. All right, so there we go. There, underneath there is the armrest there. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to go back to, with that Valentine's advice, we're going to go back and take your questions there, whether it's Valentine's related, which I'm not very good at, or something else. We're going to go back, take your questions. So romantic, I know, eh? There we go. Your dream car. Who doesn't want to get engaged in an Elantra? Don't get engaged in the Elantra. Drive somewhere nice and then get engaged somewhere else. That's the other tip. Okay, we're going to go take your Valentine's Day questions and your Elantra questions, and then we're going to come back, show rear seat trunk space and some lighting stuff, and we'll go through there. So, all right, let's turn the car off, and I really shouldn't have opened up the Valentine's Day thing. My wife and I don't celebrate Valentine's Day because we got married right around the same time, and we get to skip that, and it's probably a good thing for me because I'm not good at that stuff. All right, here we go. There's the car again. I'm just sharing too much information. So here we go. Questions. Please don't let me go down the wrong track here. All right. This is the preferred trim, right? Yes, this is a preferred trim. There's a luxury trim as well. Moonroof would be for luxury trim. That's correct. Okay. Got a Hyundai Kona 3 weeks ago. Level of safety features. Yeah, we're going to talk safety features here too. We should have brought that up earlier and we didn't. So he says, skip Valentine's Day. We don't skip Valentine's Day. We don't skip it. We just have an anniversary that's very close to it, so it all becomes one, and we're all happy with that. Not just me. It's not just my decision. There we go. So there we go. Somebody else is on here. They skip it. Okay, we don't skip it. We just. It's a month-long celebration with us. It's a year. Every day is a celebration with us. I don't think anybody's buying that. All right. Does the Ultimate have the full digital cluster? I don't believe so. It's been a while since I've been in an Ultimate Hybrid, so if it's changed for 2022, I didn't look that up. I just assumed it hadn't. It does have the large 10.25 inch screen on the right, though, so I hope I'm not wrong about that. All right, there we go. Roses, red or other. Oh, definitely red roses. because you want to be a traditionalist. Now, if you go other, you better have some mojo to back that up. You better be an individual yourself. So I'm really glad we're going down this road. This is not going to go well for me. How does the Hyundai decide alloy rim color? I have no idea why a new Elantra preferred rim will be. They do show you. So if you want to know what they are, there is information. Every Hyundai salesperson will have access to the information on what that particular trim of car comes with. So if you don't know and you want to know, your salesperson has access to the information. You can tell them there is an information sheet which does show you exactly what comes with your car. This is the one that comes with the preferred trim, the hybrid, and it would be the only one that comes with the preferred trim on the hybrid. So there is, you can find out the rim, but there are a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of different rim sizes, wheel sizes, and colors and styles. So yeah, the specific car that you order, we will be able to show it to you, so you can do that. Which one do I prefer, the hybrid or the N-Line? Okay, so here's the thing. I like to drive a little athletically sometimes, so the N-Line is just better for that. It handles very well. It's got some good style. Honestly, the hybrid would be the way I would drive an Elantra, because if I'm buying an Elantra, it's a runaround town car. You know, it's just a regular car. It's not meant to be a performance car unless you get the Elantra N. So as a regular car, I would rather save the money and the fuel, because yesterday's car was close to 30 grand, 28. So this one's cheaper. It gives you the basics. The other one had a better stereo, no question. It had the sunroof, both of which I like, which you can get in the luxury version. But honestly, I'm not a fan of just burning gas for the sake of burning gas. So when you can start cutting your $100 fuel bill to $70 or $100 to $60, or you know that kind of stuff that puts money in your pocket for the Valentine's Day that we don't celebrate. So there we go. When will the Hyundai have a wireless Android Auto for the larger screens? I don't know. As of now, if you buy the larger screens, it's not wireless, and don't expect an update. I don't have an answer for you. I don't have a reason for you, but I do have that answer for you. So we don't know that. All right, forgot to ask for likes. We got 49 people on. We got 48 likes. Let's go for 60. Let's go to get 12 more likes today. Let's jump in the back seat here, and then we'll also jump in the trunk. Back seat has one disappointment for me. It's on this trim line. It's two really. They don't have a armrest in here, but they also don't have a split folding rear seat. It's the whole seat back or nothing. That is pretty rare in a modern car, and I suppose it saves some money. I don't know how much money it saves. Maybe it doesn't make a difference because people who are using a large trunk space with fold-down seats are using larger SUVs maybe. Maybe that's what's going on. But I just feel like taking away that split fold seat was unnecessary. So just something to keep in mind. If you drive a long ways expecting to take that large mirror back in here with one child or something like that, you're going to be short a kid or something. You have to make a second trip. But so the rear seat, again, no armrest and not a split fold seat. The whole thing folds down, which is just, it's one of those things that bugs me because I feel like we didn't have to take it away. Overall back here, comfort, and that's what you get, comfort. It's got enough space for me. The seat is nicely positioned for my legs. There we go. Where you can see I'm fairly flush on the seat. And that's about it. There's not a ton in this trim line. You have plastic back seats, which if you have kids, can be wiped down quickly and easily, which is good. You don't have any ports. You don't have any vents. And again, if you have kids, that might be a plus. They're not sticking Cheerios into the USB ports. They're not sticking Shreddies down the vents. Maybe that's a plus for you. Personally, I like to see a little bit more emphasis on the rear seat with the Elantra. It's the one negative. It's perfectly comfortable back here. It's perfectly fine. There is ventilation back here. Like, it's not like you have nothing, but you don't have the extra vents. You don't have the pockets. To some people, they're not going to care about that. To me, I don't know. I don't like when they take away stuff that I don't think costs that much money. I'd like to see it in there. So there's my criticism. I'm allowed to criticize cars, right? All right, jumping in here. One thing they do really well is, like an SUV or anything else, a lot of sedans don't have a button on the trunk, so they do have that little button to pop the trunk, which I appreciate. I remember underneath here, we did say it has a spare tire. A lot of eco cars, they remove the spare tire because the manufacturer says, hey, you don't need a spare tire. We're gonna save you some fuel, but that's just the manufacturer saving money. So good job to Hyundai for putting in a spare tire, even on their eco cars. And, I just think that's a good idea. All right, jumping in here, throw a teddy bear in the trunk. Teddy bear is my teddy bear trunk test. Overall, I used to have a Camry Hybrid. It was a family car that my parents owned, and then they sold it to me. I drove it, my wife drove it. The Camry Hybrid lost a third of the trunk for battery. Now you don't have those sacrifices anymore. So this is just a regular car. Now I am having trouble getting Teddy's legs in here. I think it's just the way I stuck it in here. It's possible, and I haven't looked at the specs, that there's just a little bit less room by Teddy's head and his leg there, but it's still a good sized trunk in here. And it's basically a 2 teddy bear trunk. Obviously, if Teddy Bear sits down here, he's got all the space he needs. I'm not sure if it's just me or if there's just a little tiny bit less space there when we throw Teddy Bear in there, but it's basically the same size trunk. It might be the exact same trunk as yesterday. So you're not really sacrificing in this car by getting a hybrid. You still have all the trunk space you need. You can still do a nice little camping trip with your friends, and it's just not an issue there. All right, yesterday we showed you a lighting package in the N line. Let's see what's similar and different in the preferred package, which is also a hybrid. First thing you're going to notice, yesterday we had LED lights. This particular car does not have LED lights. Now it does and it does not. You have the LED daytime running lights right there, and you have the projector beam halogen lights right here. So again, very sharp cutoff, very nice lights. You guys all know me. I would prefer, if you can, to stretch for the LED lights, but these aren't bad lights. These used to be, these were high-end lights from just a few years ago. Nice sharp cutoff, halogen beams, very good and easy to see. So the older Sonata had the battery in the trunk as well. Yeah, that's right. The Sonata hybrid, the other one, Sonata hybrid, Camry hybrids, what do we sell? We sell Kias over here at the Kia dealer here. Oh boy, Optima hybrid used to have that as well. I'm really losing it here. So again, yesterday we talked about how this looks identical. On the lower level gasoline Elantras, you don't have this higher end lighting. This is on the N line yesterday, and this looks brighter than that on camera, but to the naked eye, it nicely flows in and looks identical. So the camera's actually picking up something that my eyes can't see, and it just looks better. It's the high end lighting here. Yesterday we had a lip spoiler that tied into this. This one just has the regular metal, which is still a bit of a lip spoiler there. You can see it kind of comes up a little bit. I'm trying to film that perfectly. It's kind of reflecting, but you can see it does still have a lip spoiler. So a very nice athletic look back here. Not the same diffuser underneath, which was the sort of detail underneath, but a nice, aerodynamic efficient area down there. But yeah, the high-end lighting on the back just gives us a higher-end look. And again, for a $25,000 MSRP car, $24,999, this is a really nice vehicle, features and everything else wise, and styling wise, I think it's pretty good. For a car that is this efficient and this normal. It's not weird like a Prius with the joystick kind of gear shift and just weird looking car. It's just a normal car that saves you a bunch of fuel. Let's talk safety just for a quick second here. You do have in the mirrors here blind spot detection. So that little triangle thing there, if I can sort of film it there, that will light up with a red light when someone's in your blind spot. You can also use that for rear cross traffic alerts. So that means when you're backing up, it'll alert you of something crossing your path. So that's a nice thing to warn you. Chocolate, milk or dark chocolate? Okay, well, since we're doing Valentine's things, milk chocolate for someone else because that's what they want. Dark chocolate for me because that's pure. If you want to go chocolate, you got to go dark chocolate. All right, moving on. Keep going through. I'm glad we're doing this Valentine's theme. You've got the little camera up front there. So lane keeping assist and lane follow assist. Basically the most up to date. Even the Palisade doesn't offer lane follow assist yet. So lane follow assist is a very precise ability for the car to steer itself, keeping itself centered in the lane. It's the best of the best system. It's very, very good. You are responsible for your car. It's not something that you can just say the car drives itself, but it certainly feels like the car is driving itself. You got to keep your hands on the wheel, but the car will keep itself centered in the lane when you have that system active. And then, of course, that camera also gives you forward collision avoidance, so it has the potential, has the ability in certain situations to, if you're not paying attention, it is capable of stopping. Now, that doesn't mean it always will, but it is certainly capable of stopping. And we always say you test that system like you would test your airbags. You don't test it. So just some nice mix of safety features along with, like I said yesterday, that superstructure of the high-strength steel really does a good job. And to be fair, it's one of the better driving and better riding small cars. It's just really smooths out the bumps. Again, this one's not about sportiness. It still stays fairly level in the corners when you're going around corners, but it does a good job of smoothing out the bumps and doing that. So that is basically a review of the Elantra. I'm going to dig back into the comment section. I'm scared because I've opened the Valentine's Day door. Are we doing a video on Valentine's Day? We probably are. So anyways, we're going to keep going here, and I'm going to take questions on the car, and I'll answer how not to work on Valentine's Day because that's all I know. So we'll do that. Do me a favor, guys. Hit a couple more likes if you can, and we'll keep going there. Also, considering the rising fuel costs, gosh, they're on a run. Yes, like with fuel costs the way they are, I think here it's $1.50. Oh, I can read it from here. $1.55.9 just down the gas station here, which is down from the $1.57.9 it was earlier this week. That's a lot of money to be burning, literally. So having something like a hybrid makes sense. We should send Peter flowers and dark chocolate for Monday. I don't eat flowers. I have some slight allergies. It'll make me cry. You can send dark chocolate anytime you want. But please don't. You don't have to pay me. All right. What else we got here? Just trying to see them. How the maintenance will fare down the line. Okay, so that's a great question. A lot of people worry about hybrids because in their minds, you have a gasoline motor and you're adding batteries and electric motors. Now, here's the way hybrids actually work. Hybrids as a class are among the most reliable vehicles out there. They do some things really well. Keep in mind, when you have a gasoline engine, you're starting from a stoplight, you're working that gasoline engine. What the hybrids do is they do a very good job of temperature management. So keeping an engine at a certain temperature is very good for longevity, and hybrids do that well, but they also rarely work their engines hard because the electric motors can step in to power in situations where you would have a high draw situation. So a high, where you have to really work the engine, the electric motors assisting are really, really good with that. So in general, there's no more maintenance at all in a hybrid. It's just the same as a regular car. But what you will notice is overall longevity tends to be very good because that electric motor is assisting, and that electric motor has little to no maintenance. And it is assisting where the gas motor would usually be working the hardest. So it's just one of those things that is kind of counterintuitive. You'd expect them to be worse. You expect them to be more complex, but they tend to be fairly reliable overall. So there is that. Oh my goodness, you guys. I'm just realizing flowers and chocolate. Oh boy. I don't need flowers. I don't need chocolate. But if you want to just tell my boss I'm doing a great job, that'd be fine. You can send an email. Emails to my boss saying I'm doing a great job. That's all that what I want for Valentine's Day. All right. Is it okay to take the new Elantra to normal gas station to car wash? Will it affect my car paint? Because I've been hearing paint-related issues on 21. I haven't heard of paint-related issues. I don't have an issue with car washes. I personally like to wash my car myself. I'm a little gentler on it. I know people like to go to brush car washes. I guess I prefer spray car washes, but I like the ones where you wash them yourself. So I don't have any issues with you taking it to a regular car wash. I don't think anybody else would either. I haven't heard of any paint-related issues that I'm aware of, so it must be very minor if there are. So there's that. Peter, make me an offer I can't refuse on your Blue Soul EV. The Blue Soul EV is gone. So I would make you an offer, but the way this business works is you make us offers, and then we sell the car. So I don't have to make you an offer. It's a different world right now. So you offered too late, or you wanted me to offer too late, and then the Blue Soul's gone. So anyways, to that person, I'm sorry we sold your car. All right. Somebody said, makes no sense. Do me a favor, Steve May, and tell me what you were talking about. With the Android Auto Apple CarPlay thing. Yeah, I've heard stories. I'm not sure. It doesn't make sense to me, but at least I know the answer. Oh, my boss's email? I don't know. Send it in to me. I'll send it on to him. There'll be a link in the description, and we'll do that. Or leave us a Google review saying you're happy, whatever. I really don't need the praise. I just want to make sure my boss knows that I'm still here. All right, we're going to leave it there, guys. It's been fun. Delivery date. Not sure if you already talked about delivery date. I just joined in. So delivery date on these vehicles, again, there is limited availability. Last I checked, these weren't super long of a wait, but there is limited availability, and that can make it a longer wait. It is definitely the Elantra I would consider, and I would ask your dealer and would go on there. So there we go. That vehicle is still an Auto Trader? Yeah, that should be gone. Auto Trader should be taking that off. So there we go. All right, let's leave. Back seat features. That's what's disappointing. Yeah, the back seat features, it's just one of those things where I think they could do better, and it's not going to cost them a lot, and it would make a difference to the end user. So again, when I criticize them, I usually offer the solution. It doesn't cost you a lot to make it better, and let's do that next time. All right, let's leave it right there, guys. It's been fun. We hit 64 likes. I want to thank you for that. Tomorrow and the next day, we're doing 2 Kias in a row because we just did 2 Hyundais in a row. Carnival LX Plus is coming out. We'll probably do that tomorrow. And then there's the Seltos as well. I'm not sure what trim it is, but a Seltos just arrived, so we're going to do that on Friday. So we got 2 Kias coming up, and I promise I'll do my best on those videos for you. And yeah, we'll see you then. See you live at 2 o'clock tomorrow.